What's up, everybody? This is the Crazy Kirby Kid, and I am making a video on Super Mario Maker levels. And it all started with this tweet I'll show you right here. And I tweeted this out a couple of weeks ago, and it says, I could do it. I could start a video stream series where I play Super Mario Maker levels and fix them, who's interested. And got a few favorites, got a few retweets, and cool gamer people and designers all expressed a little bit of interest. So this is my first try at it. Feedback is always welcome, but I'm just going to jump right in. I already tried recording this a little bit earlier, but it ended up being a little bit too long, so I'm going to try to give you guys the quick and dirty version, and if you want more details, you can always get them later. The basic idea is that, for a little background on me, I'm a game designer. I worked on a game that released on PlayStation, Steam. It was part of the Sports Friends package. I'm one of the 3 designers on Bari Ball. It's a fighting game that has a ball in it. It's kind of like Smash Brothers. But I also have this game design blog that I started many years ago, and I've written over 1 million words of game design and game critique material, and most of it's right here on the internet. A lot of it's right here on this blog, and I'm going to put a lot of that information, a lot of that experience to use, right? So I've been studying Mario primarily as the foundation of how I understand game design, and so that's why Super Mario Maker is right up my alley. I've written a lot on Mario, and you can see a lot here. It's a series I wrote on my old blog. I can provide links, but this one's called The Measure of Mario, and we work through just about every single element of design in Mario, from the mechanics to the level elements, enemy elements, level design, secrets, coins, power-ups, and other such topics. It's a pretty long series, and I go over the original Mario Brothers Lost Levels, Super Mario Bros. 2, Bros. 3, World, New Super Mario Brothers, and New Super Mario Bros. Wii. Because I wrote this many years ago, 2009, that's pretty much all the 2D Mario platformers I could get my hands on. There's been more released since, but this will provide us a great foundation in order to understand exactly what we're doing here in Super Mario Maker. So this game is great. I have a lot of fun playing it. It's scratching that level design, game designer itch. But what we're here to do today is to look at some levels that users create, talk about what they did in terms of level design and game design, and see if we can fix them by actually applying some few simple rules that you could do yourself whenever you're either tinkering in Mario or playing whatever other game. So I actually watched an episode of, I'll leave this here, but Game Grumps, and they had this level, which is kind of playing on the screen, and they had a kind of a blast dying a lot and playing it, and without watching the full episode, I jumped in and tried to play it myself. And after a few tries, you know, because it's one of those hard levels, I eventually beat it, but then because I found so many interesting things inside the level, I decided to do this video series, or start that tweet as you saw, and yeah, that's pretty much it. But I'm going to go ahead and play it, except for I need to get this out of the way. So if we can go to Course World, I can play it here. But I kind of want you to see what the level looks like. So if you haven't played it, if you haven't played this level, you should probably, if you really want to get the full impact of what we're going to do in terms of changes, you should play it yourself first. I put the ID right here on the screen. As you can see, it's like 9F8B0000002704FB. So play it yourself, make sure you get a fresh impression of it, and then come back, or you can just continue watching the video. But I'll also put up the link in the description to the level that we're going to mod in this series, and you can actually play both levels back to back before listening to anything I have to say, and that'll be the easiest way to see if anything that I change actually makes a difference, or if I actually make the level worse for you. But yeah, feedback always important in doing things like this, so let me know. But let's go to Makers. Let's go to Stars, or click on my brother's face in the top left corner. Let's click on Start Courses. It's called Bowser's Construction Issues, as you can see right here. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a little playthrough, see what happens. Actually, I haven't played this, the original version, in quite a while. Yeah, and that happens. So as you can see from all the X's, you know, I've died on this level plenty of times, my brother dies, people die playing this, it's one of those things. That's not good.
And typically, in order to beat these kinds of really hard Super Mario Brothers challenges, you give it a lot of goes, and then you find a solution that works, and you refine it over time. So it's basically just memorizing a path, one path usually, through the level. And yeah. And it is all bubble. And memorizing. Oops. Let's go. Like that. Okay, so it's possible to beat, right? Lots of other tricky things that can catch you, but you know, we're not really here to show you me beating the level. That just gives you a taste and a reminder for those of you who have played it, what we're dealing with. Course clear, yay. So what we're going to do is download the level. I've already done that, and we're going to go through piece by piece, and I'm going to explain different things about what it's doing and talk a little bit about game design. Then I'm going to suggest changes as we go along, and that's pretty much our game plan. So I'm going to switch views here. Okay, and I'm also going to play some videos of my brother playing through the game blind, so you can actually see his progress as he plays through the level and tries his best to beat these challenges, right? Okay, so I got some notes here for us on the screen, and I got the game playing. And let's see. I'm going to go down to the level and edit what we got going here. So as you can see, this is what we're working with here. And have a lot of issues with a lot of different parts, so I'm just going to go ahead and sketch it out over here. Okay, so there's a lot of things going on in this level, but I divided it into sections like this. Here's blah 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 blah. Here's section number 1, and here's section number 2, where you're encountering the Bowsers, and it ends right about here. Dot 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 dot. And we have section number 3, which is about this Goomba area, right? Where these Goombas threaten your ability to get on these platforms, and you kind of have to deal with how you're going to escape this island. That's all part of it. I'm going to count this all as section 4, just mid-air platform riding and dealing with all that stuff, right? And then the final section 5. So we got a simple like beginning, middle, end with 2 sort of middle sections in between. Pretty easy to conceptualize. The level's not too long, so that's a pretty good start. Right here in section 1, you know, this is just way too many fireballs that are way too long. I mean, you can see in some of the deaths that my brother makes. I'll drag video number 2 up in there. Yeah. But yeah, you can see some of the struggles he goes through and some of the deaths he makes, and some of the crazy things that can happen while jumping on that platform, trying to get to the right area. So this fireball's too long, and if you cut this one off right here, you know, it just kind of is a symptom of this whole area that there's so much going on. There's really only one way to get through it, and it's traveling on the bottom row and traveling just to get through this gap here and making it out to the other end. One of the cool things about Mario level design is that it's not linear, right? We're not playing a Super Meat Boy level, we're not playing like a Rayman Auto Runner level, we're playing a level that gives you a space to play around in, and gives you time to make your jumps appropriately for the most part, and gives you options on how to go and when to go. So we want to get rid of like a lot of linear stuff, linear challenges we want to open back up, and this intro area is exactly what that is. It's a linear challenge, and it's just way too busy going on. It's kind of hard to read what's going on, and your first impression of the level is like, oh man, but the challenge is a lot simpler than it looks, right? You just run as fast as you can right at the beginning, and it actually makes this whole thing way more complex and way easier than, or it's way too complex for being so easy. We got this other section here, this section 2. You see enemies are placed inside of these, so these aren't power-ups and these aren't coins. They're not here to help you. Bowser can freely march forward and kind of mess with your life. Bowser can also shoot fireballs to the left here, and they travel all throughout the level, so you know, it just creates a really tight space to play in. And that's another thing we see a lot from indie level designers. They not only make things linear, but at the same time that kind of requires you to make things very tight. Mario's about that jump. Maximum jump height, he can clear 6 bricks should be. Standing jump 5 bricks. Short is short hop. He gets up to the 3rd brick. Just basic things off the top of my head from playing Mario, but we all know these distances. Basically, you want to give Mario space to jump around and have fun, and this is not a lot of space. And it gets even more cramped and pressured when those Bowsers start shooting those flames. I'll move this over so you can even see it, and I'll hit play. Like, if you just hang out here too long, Bowser is not only jumping randomly, but oh my gosh, 2 double downs. Yeah, so not only does Bowser jump randomly, but there's 3 of them, and each of those can shoot out a flame that is at a random height. That's like a few different heights, and even though the lowest is the rarest, is Bowser's being a jerk, like low every time. And if you hit these boxes, it just makes everything harder for you. Like, what is the point of this? Like, so not a lot of room. You definitely have layered pressure, which is interesting, but you want to have room to deal with it in a way that allows you to see the challenge coming, in a way that allows you to figure out a way through it. And we're also moving away from having to die too much in this level too. So we're going to try to take away unfair sections, that because there's ways that Bowser can trap you to where you can't win if you're down in that lower area, and Mario games don't design levels like that. Good games don't design levels like that, where it's just like, oh, too bad for you. So we're gonna look at that area in a bit. We got this big thwomp, which is kind of interesting. You get close enough, you can possibly squish the Bowsers. So this idea of squish, S-Q-I-S-H, is an important one. It's clever. So we're gonna see if we can keep that and maintain that as we make changes. So yeah, I can write in. Indies typically do a lot of clever game ideas, clever or in unique ideas, because you know they're thinking outside the box in one way that they guarantee thinking outside the box is doing something they've never seen before, and usually it has rough edges like this. So we're gonna see if we can meet somewhere in the middle with an idea like Thwomp squishing a triple stack Bowser as we move forward. Here, these blue platforms are super fast versions of the platforms that don't. The white versions, you know, travel a little bit like this and then dip down and die, but these blue versions just go, go, go. There's a stack of enemies here, which is just really odd looking, just kind of like a brick of Goombas. But the design is, it's supposed to slow you down from riding this key platform right here, this blue bottom one. And then he gives you these 2 power-up music blocks, which I'm not even sure why they're music blocks. That doesn't really fit the theme too well of this underground place. It's cool that they're jump pads that allow you to jump up higher, but this whole area is way too cramped. A brick wall, box, platform, box, like this way too dense. So we got to definitely space that out a little better. But it's cool that you get a power up here in the terms of a Buzzy Beetle helmet, H-E-L-M-E-T. I can't spell, so don't worry about it. Need to use that. You get an extra, so it's infinitely spawning because it's coming out of a pipe. So that's a neat thing too. Another neat thing about this pipe is, just like with Piranha Flower from the original game, if you get too close to it, nothing spawns out, but if you back up, something will spawn out. In order to get this power up, you actually have to let this thing fall on your head. Luckily, there's platforms here to help you out with that, but this whole area is too cramped and too dense, so we're going to keep those ideas moving forward. Then we have a couple of flying enemy areas, another block of enemies, just really odd looking, and Goombas squished inside of a piranha plant Koopa sandwich. Doesn't say anything to me, just seems random. So we're going to see if we can deal with the thematic theme element going on with these enemy placements and stuff. But I like the idea of having a large fiery expanse in which you're pretty much suspended on these platforms. So that's definitely a cool thing we want to keep. And this last part is really, really interesting. You got a gauntlet of Hammer Bros and Fat Hammer Bros. And then you got a Lakitu right here. And 2 paths which to go. So Mario, great way to make non-linear gameplay is to give players multiple paths to go on. Mario did that since World 1 with pipes and different things and just even different elevations. So we're going to try to keep that going. I'll show you what happens when you get to the, first I'll show you how fast these blue platforms are, right? Like, whoa, super fast. Bowser kind of messing up my day. Assuming that Bowsers are dead, they'd be going this fast, and then you'd be traveling on them. And then jumping off them is a little tricky because they move so fast. Beep, beep. And then you're like, where do I go? Like, what are you supposed to do about that wall of enemies? The answer is, if you ride the top one, you can't see that coming in enough time. So it's definitely something we want to take out and possibly work on. I'll put the next video up here. Doop. Like, you can see Marcus riding the platform and how tricky it can be. The idea is if you ride the middle one, you can duck the second cluster of enemies, but what about the first cluster? And what about informing the player before they get there and giving them enough time to see the challenge coming? So we're going to work on all that, making this whole section where is it more fair. And by fair, it's going to be more interesting because we play games because they test our skills, not test how many quarters we have or how long we're going to put up with some of these gotcha moments where you can't do a thing about it. So, and then this final section, like I was talking about, I'll show you. The Hammer Brothers are kind of jerks. If you manage to get down here, they rain like hammers all over you. And if you got some nimble footwork like I do, you can survive a little bit, but it's only a matter of time before they start doing their double jump, in which they have the option to land on this platform right here. I'll highlight it. They can land here or drop down here and just ruin your day. So this is definitely an area you don't want to be in too long. It's cool that when you get the axe, they all die. And it's cool that the axe is low. So unlike a flagpole, which you can get pretty much at any height, you got to be down there. You do have the option of jumping over these guys and approaching the axe backwards. I like that. But this Lackey 2 seems random. And I'll show you how random he is. I'll show you. I mean, like, you can, with enough luck and skill, just kind of like hop off one of these guys and get Lackey 2. But that's only if he's sort of homed in on your position. And he's moving away from me every time on this one. But it is, I've done it before. It is possible to take at least one power up in here, super jump up to the Lackey 2, and take his lunch. And then if you have his lunch, Cloud, you can travel backwards, go down around here, and cruise till you win. That's kind of neat. I like that idea. Taking resources from one area and applying it to another. So I'm gonna write the word suspension here. It's the word I gave for it. SUSPENSION. That's a really key concept, and we want to do something with that even more interesting, so that it's not just this weird Lackey 2 up at the top that you can hardly jump on and you can hardly interact with. You can't even see that on the screen, can you? Let me fix that for you. There you go. So yeah, suspension, blocks of enemies, jerks. The only other thing is, I think you're supposed to clear off this pile of Goomba like this. Or like lots of Goomba, and when you jump on Goomba, oh shoes! Okay, that's dangerous. So assuming the Bowsers are dead, you're supposed to clear off some of these Goomba. Just 2 layers is fine. Oops, see, now I gotta go back. So I gotta keep this going. And stay alive, low jump. Ah, he got me. So let's assuming you clear off the Goombas and Bowser isn't shooting all these flames at you, which I'm just going to give myself a power-up to make this easier to demonstrate. You're supposed to jump onto this lower platform like this and like ride it out, right? So if you manage to do all that, you get the easy street to the winning area. And you're like, oh yay, easy street. So I like the idea of struggling to pick which platform you want to do, but then also sometimes the more interesting way to accomplish this level is not the hardest, which is fine if they've worked for it at some point. So that's everything we want to preserve about this level. There's a lot of problems with it, a lot of issues with fairness, a lot of issues with things being too close together, but we can address all those issues one by one, and that's what we're going to do. So with that said, I'm going to show you what I have, what I did. So I guess, let me see what I can do here. Can't even find my mouse. Here we go. This is the level that I built. You can see, so now you can see both levels stacked on top of each other. And I'm going to reduce this a little bit so we can make that really clear. Right there. That's the beginning of the level. Here's the level I made. On top, I put Kirby's in the level I made, so you don't ever have to be confused about which one we're talking about, but it should be pretty obvious once we start talking about things. But the level I made looks very similar, right? It's still divided into sections. Let me go ahead and start drawing on the map for you. I'm going to save this. Save. Layer palette, new layer, white lines. Okay, and we are good to go. So okay, so immediately we start off very differently. I think in Bros, the original Super Mario Brothers, some of the last Koopa levels start you off on an elevation, you know, just for some variety, but also it makes jumping down to the ground floor a little bit more tricky. So this is definitely harkening back to some of those levels, which I really like. So let's just go through and talk about the ways I address the issues we talked about before. Linearity. So you notice right off the bat this intro area. Let me just go ahead and change this as well. Yeah. And I'll be a Kirby for this, just for a demonstration. Let me just grab my friend here. Here we go. That's where he belongs. Oh, come on. Come on. Okay, stop that. There we go. So now I'm a Kirby, classic Kirby sound effects. And I'll show you what the area is. So the first issue, we're going to look at all the ways that we took a linear challenge and a tight challenge and we opened it back up. This intro area is exactly one of those areas. Instead of having a billion bars, we now have 5. And just like the other one, they rotate on basically 3 different ways simultaneously. But all you need is a little bit. A little bit goes a long way in these levels. And what we did was turn one linear run through the bottom of it and open it up to where now this top area is accessible and this top area up here is accessible, and there's a reason for going up here. Oh, yeah, even though you're standing on the top one, you're still not completely safe until you're standing up here. Just a really simple way of turning an area that used to be just run through and go into a playground. And playground's the word I use for areas in Mario where instead of just running it and gunning it and going through, you stop and enjoy some of the cool things that are set up, even though it's completely optional. I think that's like the definition of nonlinear, multiple options in which they're optional, and that's lets the player decide what they want to engage in. It gets dangerous down here because of those Bowsers. But one incentive that I decided to give the player for hanging out in this playground when obviously it gets more and more dangerous is a chance at that first power-up. And basically, after you make it to this point in the level, you're like, I could go back for it, I could go for it, it's your choice. I love going back for it because I like a challenge. And then it really tests your ability to, whoa, okay, that was close, manage all these multiple timers and get through. But if you lose the power-up, you're like, it's not that big of a loss. So now, right off the bat, we have the player engaging with a more difficult challenge, a more layered challenge, a more cleanly presented challenge, and there's like if they get hit after they grab the power up, it's not game over. It's like, haha, I gave it a shot, and you can keep going forward. That's way different. Right off the bat, this intro area, you can even jump from this platform and get over there, so it's not just like one way to get through. You can go on top if you really want to skip it all, and you have options, right? Kirby's so cool. Okay, so that's one way we turned a super linear tight challenge into a more open one. Here is part 2. So let me just write some arrows here. You can go below, you can go on top, you can go over. We have this power up here that incentivizes you to stick around. You come up and back, and all the while you have, I should probably make that line a little thicker, shouldn't I? All the while you have flames coming in from the left here as the Bowsers are shooting at you. So you're like, okay, much different start, much more variety in terms of penalties and pathing and all that. Let's go ahead and look at what else the level has going for us. So on the map you can see here, I'd rather show you in the game first. Who wants to see a map? So right here, if you notice, the Bowsers are in a cage of sorts. It's not like a hard cage. Oh, Kirby! It's not a hard cage, but it's enough to keep them in there. And I kept a lot of what Gerard's levels originally had with the enemies in the item boxes, but I gave you more room here. There's 4 bricks. I can count them on the screen here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the bricks are on the 5th one high. It's much different from having them even 1 block lower. Now I have room to jump over the fireballs. I don't even know what they're called. Fire that Bowser's spitting. And it's just a lot more, there's a lot more room to move back and forward, which you do need. So you can see the action coming a lot better, and it's just, the Bowsers aren't going to run up in your face and kill you. So right here you have room to breathe. This section, which is section 2. This is 2. That's a terrible 2, but you can deal with it. Here's 1. So right now you have a lot more room to breathe, and just like what we did before, by restricting the amount of baddies in the room, like you notice I took out the potaboos, these fireballs that come up from the bottom right here, took them out, just way too much going on right here. Now it's just a Bowser stack that's limited to this area, and you got this set up. And so let's play around with it. So you can, with a running jump, you can get up here, and with a running jump, you can get up here. So, you know, it does test your platforming abilities. And once you're up here, you can attempt to get that thwomp to drop down on the Bowsers. It's a not easy. It's a not easy. Okay. It's not easy to do that without getting hit, but oops, didn't mean to do that. So after you triggers once, the second one is most likely always going to crush the Bowsers. Made that a little simpler because earlier versions I had to where the Bowsers don't necessarily get crushed, and you know, so on and so forth. But now this whole area is a little cleaner, and you can make it through this other side. And there's even room right after the area right here. So you notice in the original map, the platforms right here are right next to this brick. Definitely put 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces in between just to give you a little bit of room to move. I probably would put more if I had my own choice, like maybe just a smaller area you can run through, but that's basically how we took a really cramped setup with too many hazards and opened it back up again. But it's a clever idea. We definitely kept the idea intact. And by making these platforms up here donuts, even if you manage to land on it, right, like, and not get hit, you still have to jump off because they're about to fall. So that's like an interesting way to bring the action right back down to where it's supposed to be, which is the main channel of where all the gameplay challenges are happening. And I like how this guy gives you a warning now before killing you. So now the level, it's much harder to get hit by the thwomp, even by surprise, even if you're cruising, right? Because you see it coming at the top of the screen, you see the platforms, and you have more things in your way to slow you down. Makes it much less likely to get killed by that on your first try. No one's going to be beating this on the first try, but it's always nice to think about that in terms of level design. So let's go ahead and look at the next area. We have, so compare the platforms. 3 blue ones stacked together in the original level. And what I did here was I made 2 blue ones side by side and stacked 2 white ones on top. These Goombas are in my way. And I also reduced the number of Goombas. They're in this triangle formation, which is, ooh, Bowser, please, Bowser, please! Triangle formation, which is a lot easier to see. It's visually more appealing. It's less enemies, so it's less clutter. I just think that's just a simple positive. But you can see here there's platforms. Now you can more easily jump to each of them one by one instead of being in a cramped space. And these, even though they don't travel as far and they're not as fast, you know, the way they fall creates interesting challenges, especially when you start layering it in with the fire and these enemies. And I think that creates a much better middle passage area than Jared's level, Gerard's. And you obviously you come to the end and you fight these Koopa thingies, Hammer Bros, and you have, of course, this up here. And once again, you can ride it. Changing the ceiling, so I'll pause it. A lot happened right there, so I don't want to go too fast. But this is more accessible than ever. This area right here. Took out the power-ups because you get your 1 power-up at the beginning, and if you can keep it through this next part, that's a really good thing for you. It really makes having a power-up and keeping it something that's notable in the level instead of just showering the player with power-ups all the time, so they're practically invincible. Reduce the clutter here with the enemy design, more visually appealing shape. And then we have this huge expanse. Instead of just being like, you didn't see this enemy coming here, you take a hit, maybe you activated the middle platform here and you get by ducking. It's just a lot more open. So what we did was you took this really unfair linear challenge, made it a lot more open, have different elevations to jump in between. Because these are one-way platforms, you can jump up through them, but you can't jump down through the top. It's a lot more open than it looks because these obstacles don't really get in your way. Just a lot of fun, right? You got some Koopas here that if you're riding this blue one on the down low, you still have to deal with this Goomba pyramid and these 2 Koopa Troopa, so there's still threats. In the original version, the only threat came from these Goomba here, and then it was pretty much clean sailing. Clean sailing, is that even a phrase? Smooth sailing. But in my version, 2 Koopa here just to remind you to stay on your toes. You might even want to jump off the blue platform. I'll show you. Boop. Screw that. Might even want to jump off the blue platform just to get to the white ones in case you need the extra room. So like right now I'm on the blue, something happens, you're like, oh, shoes, and you're like back to the blue. Oh, I want to go down, and you can even get down to the bottom. So it's quick thinking, but it's not too quick, and by balancing out with the white ones, you have a little bit more breathing room both to travel vertically and to jump back down to the one that you activated. So that's really cool. Same idea, same clever concept that Gerard started, but just open, not strict, more fair. Like that's exactly what we want in our levels. So let's look at, and now let's look at the ending section, which is you know, pretty intense. Section number 5. You can see it here. I'll drag this over, and then my section number 5. I'll drag this over. All right. So now you have the option to like bounce up, down, continually up. You can ride this one forward because these white platforms die. You have to jump up to this one. And that's not trivial at all. You actually change the timing of spawns and the available jumps you can make depending on when you activate these platforms. So there's a lot of emergent variety here, and there's a lot of things that happen once you get things going. Gerard didn't have any enemies here. I put enemies here just to kind of give you one more platform option to jump off of, but because you can only jump off these enemies once, it's just like a single jump platform. Something to give you a little bit more breathing room in case you want to cut back. The Koopas do walk by, and then you face this mountain of Hammer Brothers. Again, I reduced the spam, took out these 2 Hammer Brothers, but kept the Lakitu, pushed him back a little bit so that when he spawns, he actually meets you right about here instead of spawning and meeting you out here. Change these spikes that line the ceiling with bricks, because if you really want to jump in the Lakitu, before you have to have a power-up, jump off something, get hurt on the bricks at the top, and then maybe get the Lakitu, or get hurt on the spikes and then maybe get the Lakitu. Now you can just jump get with your head against the bricks, get a running start, and get it without dying, even as Small Mario. So it's a very big change. We don't require you to have a power-up to access this fun Lakitu. And yeah, so took every single element that seemed a little unfair, a little too cluttered, a little too strict, and straightened that out so far. But there's a lot more that's going on in this level. So let me just scroll down to my notes here. Mario, nonlinear platforming level design. It's the one thing that people still don't talk about enough. It's the thing that people definitely haven't mastered. And I don't even think people are quite aware of how Mario works level design-wise. But sure, there's alternate paths, but there's a whole bunch of different ways to create layers. And here's a few of them that we're going to discuss. There's always a Small Mario path. Like, you should be able to beat every level in Mario Bros., or almost every level, at least in the original Mario Brothers. It was this way. As Small Mario, it means no power-ups, no taking hits or running through tricky obstacles, no being forced to take hits. That's something that's very clean, and it promotes the player always knowing that they have a chance at the challenge rather than like, did I miss something off screen way back before, so on and so forth. I'm going to play this video again, starting back at the first one. Why not? So that promotes good design, good clear communication of what a challenge is. It's supposed to be fair, and it's supposed to let the player use their skill to get through. Another layer is, power-ups. Not only how they let you undermine certain challenges, but how they let you access new areas and engage in the current design in new ways. So we're going to talk about power-ups a little bit. We're going to talk about secrets. We're going to talk about coins. And we're going to talk about enemies. So enemies actually comes before secrets, and coins are enemies. I mean, it's just how I like to organize things. Coins, secrets. Cool, so let's talk about Small Mario. In the modded level, Small Mario can pretty much do whatever he wants. Let me just hit this. Oop, this. And I'll demonstrate it as Kirby, just because I like Kirby. Too bad. So let's look a little bit of this. So like at Small Mario, you can like go down here. You don't have to worry about anything. You can get up in that area. You can access this area. You can make it up to this jump. Because Small Mario jumps as high as Big Mario. You don't have to worry about how high you jump. It's just how tall you are. Whoop. Small Mario, you can get up here. Oh, those Koopas are trying to get out. Those Bowsers. Woo! That was scary. So yeah, activating that. Woo, that was close. Activate again. Kills them. So at Small Mario, you can do it all, right? You don't need to get this power up in the helmet. It's cool if you do. I'll show you what happens if you don't. Oops, I need to get that, don't I? Let's see what. If I hit that Koopa, I would have been able to survive pretty easily. Let's try that again. So like, grab this. You're like, yay! I like playing video games. In Small Mario, you can get down here. That kind of kicks you off. You do that. dance down there if you want. Small Mario, you can access this area up here. Let's go, Curbs. And like do this. You know, bounce off some enemies. Oops. Okay, I died there. Very hard though at Small Mario to get over this final part. There are tricks to it, and you kind of have to know a few nuances of the way Mario works. Or you can just kind of YOLO. Kind of like that, I did it. I mean, they do throw their hammers on a pattern, and it's been the same pattern since NES, so it's not like it's unlearnable. It's just something that's a little too nuanced to expect most players to be able to do, so that's already going to cause a little bit of frustration. It's good that we provided the player with 2 power-ups, the helmet and the mushroom before, but getting that all the way to the end is tricky. So this area is probably harder than you'd find in any Nintendo level, just because it's like, where do you go? How do you get over all this? But just as a demonstration, you even can get the Lakitu, a Small Mario, by manipulating the spawn a little bit. You get it to spawn early, you move backwards so he tries to chase you a little bit, and then you jump on him without, you know, making a mistake. Yeah, you make him spawn as early as possible, and then you pretend to run away, and he gets it. Whoop! Then I got it. So, like, these are the same rules that have been with the original Mario Brothers, but not a lot of people know it. Still makes the game fair, it just makes it a lot more difficult to have the knowledge to put the right strategies together. But, you know, that's, the level is fairly tuned for Small Mario, not completely, but we're going to just leave it just because we're kind of working off of Gerard's original concept. So then we talk about power-ups. So power-ups are super interesting. Let me get another color. I sound like Commander Mark. Shoutouts to Commander Mark. Let me get another color to show you something interesting about this drawing that I'm doing. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning, and I'll show you all the crazy stuff we're doing with power-ups. I'm going to do power-ups as green. It's the same color coding as another website you may know, designoriented.net. It's the website that I started trying to keep everything color-coded. Maybe it'll help somebody, maybe it'll just be fun. So this mushroom right here is the first power-up. You can use it to advance forward. And talking about layer design, we're not just talking about layers that practically mean nothing. Like there's certain games where you get a power-up and it allows you to take another hit, but the challenge and the dynamic options, the alternate paths available to you are the same. Mario has never been that way. That's why we like Mario. You get this power-up, you get bigger, and it's harder to dodge all this stuff when you're bigger, but you do get access to, you know, taking one hit. But also this power-up right here, and I flagged this one. I'll show you. I flagged this one with the question box because I wanted you to know exactly that it was a power-up, or potentially a power-up. In this game, it could be anything. But yeah, you use this power-up to get the mushroom, then you're allowed to break bricks to access this power-up right here. And because it's so high and kind of locked behind bricks, it's a power-up lock. We're creating locks and keys with this particular design, which is something that's very rare in Mario platformers. They rarely require you to have a power-up to access certain secrets and areas. I'm sure you can fly for a lot of them. There's very few that you need the Tanuki tail to do. There's a level in Bros 3 that does that. There's very few secrets in Bros 3 that you need the Fire Flower for. There's a few ice blocks and secrets there. But ultimately, they want the whole game to be playable as Small Mario, and the platforming challenges are designed that way. We're taking a little bit of... we're going a little bit in the rare direction here, but it's still not too... it's not too far off the mark of what normal Mario levels do. So I'll show you. Sorry, Curbs. Okay, so you enter this area, and of course, all these things have enemies in it. But unlike the original design, he had like a Goomba, a Koopa, and something else, and they kind of like come out the box and kill you. The difference is these stay up in the boxes, and I think that's keeps this area from being too cluttered down here. But there's a couple of things you can do. Wow, that turtle! What's the range on that bite? So like you spawn the thingy up there, then you see. Well, we'll talk about the power-up still. Stop. You may have to do a little waiting to get to the area, but it's not too bad. So like right here, is it worth it? Even if you get hit and you didn't have time to jump up and hit that block, if you get a running start, you can still grab that power-up. I'll show you exactly what I mean. Hit this, get hit. You're like, oh no, I still want it. You're like, all you have to do is get a running start. What was that? Don't do that to me. Get hit, oh no, and then you kind of move out and come back in and get it, and then you hit it. And, wow, it's one of the best power-ups in the game. And actually, it's designed to jump out of the cage and come back to you after 2 bounces. Let's go. No. There we go. And then with this, you know, have fun. Activate these. Run over here. Just run. Pop down. Bam. And then you can practically beat the game if you have the power up and you take that extra risk and go for that extra challenge. I mean, beat the whole level. So that's really cool. Hiding a power up behind a power up is pretty cool. There's other crazy stuff you can do, like, well, you can't do that anymore. So don't worry about it. But yeah, so that's definitely something. It's a whole layer of challenge that you can bypass here, but then it creates a new challenge because just getting the Starman requires you to, 1, tackle this initial area in a different way, and 2, bring it to area number 2 and successfully get it. So that's pretty cool. It's a layer. Doesn't necessarily, all layers don't have to make the game harder. I mean, we all know taking the pipe in 1-1 bros shortcuts the level. So it's about creating options, creating multiple paths, making them interesting always, but not necessarily harder. And as far as power-ups go, oh, so then we have to talk about this helmet. So let's assume you go all the way in this area. Even with Bowser attacking you, you get this helmet, and you can do some nifty stuff like jumping up against flames, like that. How nifty is that? And then if you lose it, just get your next one. Like, they're infinite and spawning. So like this whole area can just be your playground. If you want to just hang out here, kill some Goomba, do what I'm doing. Oh, that was pro. And then you get hit, you grab another one. So this area has a lot of leeway. We want players to have fun and engage in this idea. So I'm gonna pause it. One of the clever ideas I thought was in the original level that Gerard made that didn't quite get expressed is, you know, hard hat, whatever you want to call it, a hard hat. Because you can use that as protection, and the only way that becomes relevant is because of the layer level design we're building to the Bowser. So check this out. It is possible to skip these Bowsers. You play and you're like, you know what, I just don't want to deal with them. You jump here, you wait for them to do something stupid, hopefully not get killed. But if you take a hit, you can just go right through them, like this. You can like, oh, I'm out of here, and you can even possibly get out without getting hit. They're kind of trapped in the cave. They can get out, kind of, but it just makes this area over here harder, which is neat. So if you skip the first challenge, it kind of comes back to bite you, and these flames travel throughout the whole level, as you can see. Oh, that was crazy. You can see that they'll go all the way to the end of the level if you're trying to skip the Bowser. I kind of wish it was a little easier to skip the Bowser. I had it easier before. I may make it a little bit easier again, because right now it's really hard to. And obviously tripping the thwomp requires you to get close, so like I got really lucky right there. That was just a random dice roll. But if you wait too long, the donuts come back and prevent you from killing Bowser. So this whole area is tricky, but if you skip the Bowsers, you got all this other stuff to worry about. But like I was saying before, the only way you can play around with this helmet is if you skip the Bowsers, and then like come over here and kind of abuse this. Whoa, not good. So I need to get the next power up. So let's say you lost all your platforms. They do spawn back. You just have to go off the screen a little bit and return like this. And yeah, you see how the blue one came back? But let's say you didn't know that. It is possible to advance without it. Just give it a nice jump. And this is what I'm talking about, how this whole area becomes more complex now that the Bowsers are still alive. And the flames move just slowly enough to where this is like fair and interesting, but it is it is harder. So now that I have a power up, I could just be like, you know what? 1, 2, let's go. And that's the whole level. So there's many different layers of the challenge that sort of suspend throughout the entire level depending on if you have a power up, if you have it by the end, which power up it is. That's really interesting. The power ups are really cool, but the final thing I want to show you in terms of power ups actually comes from this. So let's say you're super cool, you're a super player, and you come on, can I get it? Okay, it's not easy. So I need to wait for the helmet to actually spawn out. That's what I was telling you guys earlier. Okay, so I got the helmet. Actually, I'm going to catch up to that. Oops. I always do that. See, I need to duck jump. I always do that. Get the helmet. Activate this one. I could even just activate this one too and just kind of ride it out. Watch out for the Koopas like I was saying before. Ride it out here and you're like, yay! This is the other thing you need the helmet for. Just defending against this onslaught. until they jump down. But the basic idea is, as long as you have your helmet, you can survive this lower area without much fear. And that's really cool. I'll show you exactly what that looks like without wasting your time. Here we go. So let's say you're like, haha, fun times. And then they jump down here and you can kill them. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 per block. This is not like the later Mario games where you could get more. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. Jump. So like you're pretty safe if you have the helmet. And I think that's really cool. That's why I put these multi-coin blocks here, to give you an incentive to stay here as long as possible, which seems impossible until you grab the power up and you bring it all the way to this area. That's definitely part of the layer design that's working for us and not against us, so I'm going to go ahead and highlight that. You use the power up here, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, technically the Laquito's a power up, but we'll talk about that later. I think he goes more into the secrets. So doing a lot with power-ups in this level, and the best part about power-ups in Mario is you lose them when you get hurt, you gain them by doing cool platforming things. It just makes you want to engage with the level, and it allows you to put layered challenges in that are pretty hard, pretty interesting, pretty neat, but without forcing the player to engage with them, and then every time just having to do everything in a set order. Sometimes you're gearing up for something that takes a power-up, and then you get hit, and you're like, whatever, I'll try to do it without it, or I'll try this other thing. And you get to experience different parts of the level design just from the happenstance of your ordinary playing. So that's one of the strengths of Mario's level design. It's a concept I call counterpoint, which is a type of layered level design that encourages you to explore its other layers when you engage in any one particular layer. So that's power-ups. Let's go on to the next one, enemies. Enemies are really cool in this game. So Bowser, we already talked about him. Thwomp, we talked about him. You can kill him with a star. Goombas, this area is cool because the more you jump on it, the harder it makes your landing. And the Goombas actually have a hurt box that activates after you squish them. About a second, half a second after you squish the big Goomba. So in mid-air, you could get hit by a Goomba that you sort of made pop out, and that's kind of dangerous. So in a huge way, Goombas here are more dangerous than giant Buzzy Beetles or Koopas. And I think that's really interesting. And then they're just kind of littering the floor. So that's fun. There's these Koopa here that you can just kind of take for a ride. Like, you don't even need platforms. I always love it when games do that. Donkey Kong Jungle Beat has a really cool level. Not Jungle Beat, even though all the levels in Jungle Beat are cool. Donkey Kong Country Returns has a level where you can like jump off of bats as part of the requirements for getting a gold on the time trials, and that's kind of like that. They set enemies up sometimes just to be aerial platforms. Still love it. This enemy here is cool. I'll show you. Because as you're riding closer, you're like, hey, jump on the platform, stay safe. If you wait here, he comes out right about when you're passing, and you can't duck him. He's just that high up. It encourages you to jump back and forth between two platforms. That's pretty cool. Like mid-air variable challenges based on proximity, you gotta like that. But here's another thing that I can do. Like if you're fast, you're like, nope, I'm on the edge of the platform, I'm not afraid of you. Because if you know the timing, you know the timing. And it's been the same since the original Mario Brothers. Practically the same. So it's not unreasonable to expect players to understand what's going on here and work that solution out for themselves. What are we doing? Enemies. So yeah, that enemy's kind of cool. These Koopas are cool. You can one-time platform. These little Koopas are funny. You saw what I was doing earlier, like this, where if you hold the jump button, they actually give you a big pump, like that, and you don't even have to jump over those guys. And there's this guy, where if you want to hit him and waste all of those Hammer Brothers, you can. That's pretty cool. And after you kill the Hammer Brothers, you can stand here. Otherwise, the Hammer Brothers are a really dynamic element that happens right here at the end of the game. Too bad they're kind of random, but, you know, deal with it. And the last enemy I want to talk about kind of... Oops. I didn't put secrets. That's pretty much it to the enemy secrets. So now let's talk about coins. Bowser levels typically do not have a lot of coins. It's what makes them a lot more bleak and ominous than the other levels. You will not find many coin blocks or anything like that. So you really are down to your last efforts in order to beat the level. And that's pretty cool because in the original Mario Brothers you had limited health. So if there was a ton of coins on the level, you would eventually get more one-ups by continuing to die and get them. But they're like, no, these last levels are about survival and beating it. Quit farming coins. That's cool. I put 2 coins here at the beginning just because you don't want every question block to have either an enemy or power-up. Sometimes a basic coin is what you need to refresh the player's expectations and make all the other ones a little bit more juicy. You saw that here. These boxes are enemies. And as you saw earlier, oh, one thing I didn't show you. So let's say you get hit, and you get hit again, but you still want that star power up. Well, you can't get it now because you're small Mario. But I made that Koopa a red Koopa so you could jump off of it and potentially get high enough to get that question mark just in case you popped it as big Mario but then became small Mario like this. So if you're like trying to get that power up and you're like, oh no, I got hit, you can just come up here like this and do that. And that's like super cool. I think it's super cool. It's too bad. That was close. Oh, that was super close. But you can kill this guy with a star. So if you notice something carefully, or if you were looking closely while I was doing that, I kicked the shell. I'll show you. I kicked the shell to the right, and it actually activated a coin. And that's a good audio cue. And beep. See that? So that coin block is a coin block, and that means if you want to milk the coins out of it, you have to do something like this, and then you only get 2 coins. You're like, oh, that sucks. But after you know it's a coin block, which you discover emergently just by playing around with these question blocks, you should know to activate this backwards. Oops, don't hit me. And then if that thing, yeah, it hit one of the Koopas, and therefore, you know. So now I'm going to try to kill these Koops. Oh shoot, they're coming. Okay, they got out. But the idea is you can... I'm going to go the high route. Screw these Koopas. The idea is you can go and kick the shell to that lower area and then slide underneath. I didn't know that didn't kill Koopas. And do that and then get out like this. I can't believe I didn't get hit. That was crazy. So yeah, it's possible. But yeah, that's the idea. If you want to get those coins... Whoa! Bowsers are free. So, yeah, Bowsers are free. They can get free, like I said. Which is kind of fun. So, just like last time I told you, this area gets more dangerous with the fireballs layering. Fire, whatever they are. And that's exactly what you saw. Let's see if I can beat this game. Oh, the Lakitu didn't come! Don't know why. But you can see a lot of the layers interacting with each other in interesting ways. But this coin block right here is accessible. It's something you should notice from experimenting, and it's something cool to shoot for if you're really daring and you want to test your skills. That's why I really like that coin block. Otherwise, I used to have 2 coins right here on top of these Koopas, and I realized they were stupid because the Koopas would fly up and down, and it was really hard to see the coins, so I took those out. But I thought it would have been cool to put 2 down there so you have to jump off them, but now they're gone. 3 coins down here, and coin blocks down here, and a Lakitu up here. So this whole upper area, you kind of get a hint at that it exists from normal playing. Like, let's say you're playing, you run and jump, you're like, hey, what is that? Like, you can kind of barely see it. So let's YOLO and get this Lakitu. Come on. Oh. No! Didn't get it. Oh, Lakitu's a jerk. Let's see if I can do it again. I killed him. But I can't see it, so I have to like YOLO this. Oh shoot. So okay, so that's one thing about the camera in Mario Maker. It's not like other Mario games where they can tune the camera specifically for specific parts of the levels with all these different camera types like snap to platform, follow player, so on and so forth. In this, you actually have to push it up yourself, and it's simple, it's consistent, so we can deal with it. But in order to see that upper area, you actually have to jump to something that high, and then it's locked. But until you fall into the lower platform. So locking it up here is a pretty good idea. Get back here! Get back here! So yeah. So let's say you get the Lakitu. I'm going to make myself Kirby again. Okay, so now I'm a Kirby. This is how you access the coins, right? So you can manage to get this really cool secret. You can fly through the level. These coins are only accessible if you fly to them, and so are these. And you can get them all in one swoop. And here's that power-up that Gerard originally had in the level. I think it's much more interesting to put it up here. It's actually the power-up I didn't talk about earlier, because this is actually like a secret power-up, a really secret one. So with this power-up, you can come back down over here. Oh, I can't believe you can duck that as... Oh, that's pretty cool. Okay, that's pretty cool. What happened right there is, when you're playing as an amiibo character, you actually have access to a super crouch right there. You can see it on the screen. That crouch is lower than Small Mario's standing height. So there's plenty of... And because this game is like quantified by the brick unit, like everything is designed to fit within a brick size of whatever, or 2 bricks or 4 bricks or whatever, they actually designed their hitboxes of the enemies to also coincide with that logic. So Kirby ducking in this low stance is actually lower than... Oops, I didn't want to do that. Lower than the conservative size for the hitboxes for enemies. So I was actually able to duck that piranha flower, and that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Going back to the level. Edit. So, okay, so that's coins. There's plenty of coins strewn throughout the map. Let's count them. Here's 1, 2. Here's plus, okay, we'll count the 10 ones last. So 2 plus 3, 4, 5. This is 10. So like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 12 total. There's 15 counting plus these 3. So there's 15 coins that are fairly obvious, and then you add 10, 20, 30, 40 right here, and that makes 55 coins. So as an achievement for this game, achievements can be great to encourage players to play in different ways and expose different parts of the level design that otherwise you would probably skip. So I kind of have an achievement for a lot of these, and if I were to write them out, it would be get 50 coins or more, which really challenges people to find all the spots and then engage with the power-ups and engage with the enemies in certain ways in order to get that done. And there's another challenge I'd make an achievement for, would be kill all the enemies. And because there's no checkpoints, we don't have to worry about, like, does he mean kill all the enemies in one go or halfway? Like, no, there's no checkpoints, so kill all the enemies. And then the final achievement I would give for this level is do both of these in one go. How crazy is that? So that means the layer design, despite having layers of power-ups and enemies and how they layer with the other challenges in the level, how there's suspension with the fire that goes all the way across, how there's coins and how those get layered with the power-ups, and how you get to take one power-up across the level, go back and around with the Lucky 2 and all that, and how there's secrets. Despite all those having layers, there's a layer of design, of polish that I put into the game where you can actually accomplish getting 50 coins or more, which is pretty cool, killing all the enemies but doing both at once, and that requires you to have like a near expert level understanding of all the rules and dynamics here. So hopefully that's something I can show you. I may have to fudge it a little bit with my editing powers, but I'm going to try to show you that right now on how a normal playthrough would look. So this is a big time spoiler if you want to know how to do it. But I actually explained how all these elements work, and you actually saw me doing a lot of it. So let's see if I can kind of pull it off. On Small Mario, I'm just going to hit start, or select. Oh, actually, so, hold on. I'm going to switch views. Okay, here we go. This is me. Okay, so, like, I missed 2 coins. Not that big of a deal. Fireball coming in. Dodge, dodge. That was close. I'm gonna go back for my coins. I gotta duck all these formations. Whoa! Oh, that was close. So, accomplished first area. I'll count that as a mini checkpoint for myself. So, like, I need to kill all these enemies, and I think one of the best ways is to first unlock this while I still can, okay, because I already know how the level works. That's perfectly fine by me. Shoot. There's 1. Let's see if I can get 2. 2. Oh, that was close. Okay, that's cool. So now I have that area unlocked, and I need the star to kill this thwomp, because I have no other way of killing him, but I can do that at any time, as I demonstrated before. I'm actually going to try to get some coins here, so let's do what I did before. Do a reverse aerial rush. Might as well clear these out. Let's see if he gets killed on that thing. Ah! So if I ran with it, it would, yeah, I could show you. Kill some Goombas. You can hear them off screen. So after I kill these guys, they don't spawn back after you kill enemies. And actually I'm going to grab that helmet just to make this a little bit easier for myself. So now, putting these layers together, don't worry about the thwomp, he's not a threat. And go ahead and get these coins. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Get out, get out, get out. So in the original Mario Brothers, you would slide out to the right. They changed it to where it's now omnidirectional. You can hold left or right to get out. That's a really subtle change. It's pretty cool. So now I have that star that I can get whenever I want. I'm going to come back for it, actually. Now I have a power-up, and I need to safely get to the end and get that lucky too. So I need to take these like this. Nah. Oops. Well, that got away from me, but it doesn't matter. 1, 2. Let's be bold. Okay. Let's jump here. Preserve this platform. Okay, I need to get that. So I'm going to kill these Hammer Brothers if I can. I have plenty of powers to get that done. Oh, shoes! No! Okay, so that sucks. I was thinking about putting away for the player to get back into the main game area without having to kill themselves. Something like this. Beep. But right now I'm kind of stuck. Dang it! So let's assume I got that lucky too. And all the other enemies are killed. This sucks. There's a safer way for me to have gotten the lucky too, but then that would have kept the Hammer Brothers alive, and I kind of tried to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Let's assume I got this, right? So all these guys are dead. Swoop back around, grab these 3 coins, swoop back up here. And I'm small Mario too, so like, okay, cool. Got these coins. Power up, boom, boom. Put a conveyor belt there because I kind of thought it was boring to run in one direction, and it's kind of more interesting. 2 different ways you have to travel. Okay, so now that we got the coins, I'm actually going to go back for the, Oh, I didn't know that they don't go down through platforms once they rise up high enough. What the heck? Why are these guys shouldn't be here? That was close. So these guys are all dead. Yeah, I already cleared them out. Whatever. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I kept the star alive, and I could get myself another power-up, which I will. And let's assume that these guys aren't in my face and ruining my day. Oh, that's easy. It's kind of like resetting exactly what we had before. And this thing was, taken care of. So to kill all the enemies, I have to kill the Koopa that's in this thingy. Oops. So doing that. The star's gonna come back to join me. But Koopas don't die unless you kick them off things, right? So kill this. Kill this. Run. 1, 2. This is the only way you can kind of get here fast enough to kill this guy. Got him. So now that all the enemies are killed, and assumingly if I didn't kill the Hammer Brothers on my first pass, I would have to kick the shell into him. But then how do I get down there? I was supposed to ride the blue one back. Okay, that's not hard to duplicate. Right here. So let's assume I did all that stuff right, and these guys are all out of my way, and I actually got a helmet. Get out of my way. I don't even need the helmet because those Hammer Brothers are dead, but let's assume. Then I would just need to kill this guy. I already got those because of Cloud, and then I just do this, and then since they're all dead, this is just easy street. And then you get your 55 coins, and you get all the enemies, and they're all dead. And basically you've mastered the whole freaking level, and you're the best Mario player ever. So, it took me 3-5 hours to edit that guy's level. I also had to learn how Mario Maker worked. I had to unlock a lot of stuff, which I didn't know I had to do. But hopefully you can see that we took the level and all the clever ideas that Gerard initially had, you know, fleshed them out, made them more fair, made them clearer, made them more fun, made it to where the player can access them more easily because of power-ups and placements and stuff, put more layers into the game, put more challenge, put more interesting secrets, and this level's like super concentrated. There's tons of stuff to do, tons of variety because of both the random elements, but both because player activated deterministic elements like when platforms move, what power-ups you have, what path you pick. I mean, I think this level was a lot of fun. So let me know what you think, and feel free to change it yourself and let me know what changes you would make to either make it more accessible or what. I mean, the whole point of what I was trying to do was, like we said at the top, make it more fair, make it more clean, and then I just added a whole bunch of layers into it because I can't help but do that. But yeah, my name's Richard Terrell, Crazy Kirby Kid. My Twitter is @KirbyKid. Links will be in the description, but let me know what you think of this whole format and what other levels I might want to try my hand at, or we can do this collaboratively on stream. Just let me know if you have any ideas. Thanks for watching. It's been a solid hour and 13 minutes, so hopefully that's fun for you guys, and I'll see you guys next time.